India's most extraordinary sons, Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I am very happy to be in Rangilu, Rajkot, one of the largest manufacturing hubs in our country. The bearing and automotive parts cluster, along with the ceramic industry in nearby Morbi, are not only the pride of Saurashtra, but also the pride of whole India. At the same time, friends, I speak with a heavy heart. Your manufacturing industry here and in Morbi was hurt badly by the government's double blow of demonetization and poor implementation of the GST. You have been through a very difficult period, and across India, more than 100 people lost their lives last year due to demonetization. These problems were not of your own creation, and yet you have suffered greatly. I come here to tell you that the Congress Party stands with you during these tough times. Most of you trusted our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and believed in the policy of demonetization in the hope that your sacrifice would benefit whole of our country. I salute your commitment to the cause of rooting out black money from our country. But soon it has emerged that corruption continues to flourish. I was shocked when I first heard the Prime Minister's announcement. I wondered who advised him to inflict such a reckless step on our nation, and whether any considered thought went into it. To promote a less cash economy, coercive steps like demonetization are ineffective. In no civilized country, such drastic measures have been adopted. The cash in circulation after 1 year is close to 90% of previous levels. The return of more than 90% of the demonetized currency back into the banking system has punctured the government's claims. It is clear that those who had black money were able to convert it into white, while the real culprits have escaped. Moreover, the introduction of the rupees 2000 notes and the chaos that the country was plunged into for 50 days following November 8 proved that the demonetization was an uninformed and half-baked attack on black money. Overall, demonetization was a disastrous decision for our economy and indeed for our democracy. The government likes to claim that demonetization was a bold decision. Let me tell you the difference between bold and disastrous decisions. Our beloved former Prime Minister Indira Ji took many bold decisions. She abolished the privy purses of erstwhile princes and nationalized our banks. Most importantly, none of her decisions hurt the poor and middle class disproportionately. In fact, the unique nature of our banking system saved us from facing the worst of the global financial crisis which plagued the entire world in 2008-2009. Any responsible government must always carry out a reasoned analysis while undertaking such drastic measures. Ladies and gentlemen, as a country, we must demand that the Government of India release all relevant documents and files related to demonetization and put them in the public domain and before Parliament for scrutiny. We must avoid the repetition of such blunders in the future. India cannot afford such gross mistakes. Just as you were recovering from one blow, then came the GST. GST is a good idea, which the Congress initiated and supported, but the BJP government's version was poorly designed, badly implemented, and brought about in a tearing hurry with the misguided focus on headlines and drama. Nobody consulted the business and industry or tried to understand how their businesses work and what are their true needs. The Prime Minister is from Gujarat. He claims to understand Gujarat and the poor. He has even been elected from Rajkot in the past. How is it that he never foresaw the tremendous suffering his decisions will unleash on the industry in this important and valiant township of Rajkot? It is no wonder that Rajkot was amongst the first regions in India to protest against this injustice by the BJP government. After all, you draw inspirations from Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel. When the Mahatma decided to protest against the unjust British tax on salt, he led the march in Gujarat. Standing up against injustice is in Gujarat's blood, and you raised your voice against the shoddy implementation of GST. The Congress amplified your voice and was able to apply pressure on the government to listen to your point of view. Some of the tax rates have since then been reduced, and the cumbersome monthly reporting requirements have also been relaxed. At the same time, I fail to understand how a 28% GST on auto parts will help the economy in the industrial hub of Saurashtra. I am aware that many such problems still remain, and we are committed to getting them resolved as a responsible opposition. A Congress government will truly reflect the interests of 6.5 crore people of Gujarat in the GST Council. Ladies and gentlemen, your business is an intricate network of suppliers, manufacturers and traders. Rajkot runs on trust and relationship built over many centuries. Without trust in each other, what will happen to industry in Rajkot? It will collapse. You extended this trust to the Prime Minister and his promise of Achhe Din. The hope symbolized in these dreams now lies shattered. These twin blows from demonetization and hasty GST or a catastrophe for our economy. It broke the back of small and medium businesses in India. The supply chains and credit lines of our MSME sector and industrial clusters have been greatly affected adversely. Industry associations report that production and sales of industrial units in and around Rajkot had been hit by at least 20 to 30% in the past, if not more. You are aware of the damage done to industries in Surat, Vapi and Ankleshwar. The same story repeats itself in every industrial cluster around the country, from Morvi to Tirupur in Tamil Nadu to Ludhiana in Punjab to Barakpur in Bengal. All of them share your pain. We saw the impact of demonetization on the economy when the GDP growth dropped to 5.7% in the first quarter of 2017-18. Under the new calculations, even this is bound to be a gross underestimate, as the pain of the informal sector is not adequately captured in our GDP calculation. Every 1% loss of GDP annually costs our nation 1.5 lakh crores. Think of the human impact from this lost growth, the lost jobs, the youth whose opportunities have vanished, the businesses which had to shut down, and the entrepreneurs whose drive to succeed has turned into discouraged disappointment. Overall, while our domestic industry suffered, China is benefiting. In the first half of fiscal year 2016-17, India's imports from China stood at rupees 1.96 lakh crore. During the same period in fiscal 2017-18, imports from China increased to rupees 2.41 lakh crores. This unprecedented increase of imports by more than 45,000 crores, which is a 23% increase in a year, can be attributed largely to demonetization. Your industry now faces a threat from Chinese goods thanks to the BJP government's ill-considered policies. Thankfully, ladies and gentlemen, GDP growth in the July-September quarter of 2017-18 has registered a growth rate of 6.3%. I am relieved to see this, but it is too early to conclude that it represents a reversal of the declining trend observed in the previous 5 quarters. Many economists believe that the Central Statistical Organization, which released the GDP figures a few days ago, has not adequately captured the impact of demonetization and GST on the informal sector that accounts for about 30% of our aggregate economy. Experts have pointed out that there is still considerable uncertainty about the growth of GSP. The Reserve Bank forecasts that growth in 2017-18 will pick up to 6.7%. But even if growth reaches 6.1% in this fiscal year, Modi ji's 4-year rule will yield an average growth rate of only 7.1%. According to the new series, at a time when oil prices are low and there is no global financial crisis. We could do much better, but because of these twin blows, we are suffering loss quarter after quarter. This to equal the UPA's 10-year average growth rate, the economy will have to grow at 10.6% in the 5th year of Modi ji's rule. I would be happy if this were to happen, but quite frankly, I do not think it will. My friends, questions must be asked again and again on the soundness of policy and the lack of transparency in processes of governance. It saddens me to see that the government tries to run every important issue that affects the lives of crores of citizens into false binaries of black and white. The Congress Party has built India into a global economic powerhouse over the last 70 years. We want to ensure that the national interest is upheld and that the weaker sections of our society are protected. How does questioning the bullet train make someone anti-development? Is everyone who questions the outcome of demonetization or GST a tax evader? Does questioning the drop in GDP growth rate make one anti-national? This attitude of suspecting everyone to be a thief or an anti-national, the low-level rhetoric is damaging to the democratic discourse which we need and which we must have, and it has real consequences for how we relate to one another as citizens. Political leaders in our countries must learn to stick to the high road. I am reminded of an old saying of Abraham Lincoln to the effect, and I quote, "You can fool all people sometime and some people all the time, but you cannot fool all people for all the time." Ladies and gentlemen, the BJP is finally realizing this and is desperately trying to distract the focus of the people from the real issues, since Achhe Din are nowhere to be seen. Gujaratis have seen through the lies, and the BJP's Gujarat model is being openly challenged in the streets of Gujarat. Every community and class, apart from a few top businessmen, are not raising their voice against the inequality and injustice of the Gujarat model, as operationalized by the BJP over the past 22 years. The recent agitations of the unemployed youth from across different sections of the Gujarat society is yet another indication of the deep dissatisfaction with the performance of successive BJP governments in Gujarat. Ladies and gentlemen, while Gujarat has progressed industrially and undoubtedly it has progressed, that has been mainly in capital-intensive industries that create very few jobs. The MSME sector here has grown through its own hard work and enterprise rather than any significant support from the Gujarat government. When you look at what matters to people in many critical areas of human development, Gujarat has actually regressed in the past 22 years. On every social indicator, from infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, to female literacy, Gujarat has fallen behind the best performing states in our country, including Himachal, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The BJP governments of Gujarat have let the quality of public education decline, and thus this has led to rampant privatization of education. This hurts every Gujarati family and makes it difficult for our sharp Gujarati youth to succeed in the tough job market. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 1/5 of the positions of doctors and paramedical staff are vacant. Medicines and functioning diagnostic instruments are scarce. Many schools do not have the required number of teachers. Most of the teachers are ad hoc and are paid a pittance. How can a society progress if its teachers are treated like bonded labor? I assure you, when you elect our Congress government, we will change all this. We will invest in the people of Gujarat by increasing the budget for health care and for education. We will provide scholarships for economically backward students from primary to PhD. We will reduce the fee burden on students and their parents by up to 80%. We will provide free medicines and affordable health care to the poor. Congress Party has a vision for the transformation of Gujarat. We promise you that we will govern with both head and heart. We have released a comprehensive People's Manifesto that was developed under the leadership of Shri Sam Pitroda and Shri Madhusudan Mistry after detailed consultations with every segment of society. Our broad thrust is towards creating jobs in the MSME sector through incentives, justice for farmers through right prices for their produce, with adequate water and supply, electricity, affordable housing to the poor, and social security for every segment of society. We will come forward with creative solutions to meet the urgent employment needs of Gujarat's youth. We will work sincerely to pull Gujarat agriculture out of doldrums. We will provide incentives to the unorganized sectors to progressively enter the formal economy. We will restore the dignity of workers and teachers. Last year, rural Gujarat saw the highest inflation among 22 states. Prices of food items have been increasing at an unprecedented rate in Gujarat, but minimum wages in farm and non-farm sectors were lower than most of the states in India. This puts a huge burden on the common man in rural Gujarat. One of the many reasons for this is that the BJP government did not pass on the lower costs of international crude oil prices to the citizens of this state. When UPA was in power, when in our last year the average international price of crude oil was more than $140 per cap barrel. It came down drastically to $62 per barrel by January 2015. Instead of passing this benefit to the people and boosting the economy, the BJP government increased excise duty on diesel by rupees 14 and petrol by rupees 12 in the last 3 years, which is an increase of 380% on diesel and 120% on petrol. High petrol and diesel prices increase the input costs of production across sectors and lead to price rise. Though Gujarat is a power surplus state, the electricity tariffs are high. Investigations by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence have revealed how distribution companies have been engaging in undesirable practices. The Congress Party has promised in its manifesto to reduce the petrol and diesel prices by up to ₹10 per litre through reduction of state taxes and reduction in electricity rates by half. The minimum wage of labour will be increased with a thrust towards equal pay, equal work. Ladies and gentlemen, we will work sincerely for deepening our democracy through effective devolution of development to the panchayats and municipalities, and by empowering the common people in rural and urban areas to become full participants in the making of their lives. Gandhiji's dream of Swaraj must be achieved in Gujarat. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident that the citizens of Gujarat will remain focused on real issues of Vikas and not to get distracted by attempts to divide them. The future of your sons and daughters is at stake. 22 years is a long time, and now the results are there for all of us to see. The Gujarat model of BJP has only benefited the top people of society. It is healthy in a democracy for governments to change after extended periods of power. It keeps the administration focused and checks complacency and arrogance. Therefore, the time has come for the intelligent and enterprising people of Gujarat to once again put their faith in the Congress Party, which will work together with 6.5 crore Gujaratis to bring back the days where Vikas meant bottom-up empowerment of the common people, like Amul, which benefited every section of the society and became India's pride. The Congress Party will govern Gujarat with the values of Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and fulfill their dreams. Congress Ave Che Nav Sarjan Bhave Che. Jai Hind, Jai Gujarat.